Hello everyone, it's Monday again, and I'm here today with some cards. We've gotten through Halloween, and now it's time to concentrate on the upcoming Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. And if you make your own cards, you know that you've got to get a head start. So, talking about some cards today. Here's some cards that I made over the last week, and I took them to my show over the weekend to sell. These are simple cards, quickly done. I've got these packaged in a set of 4, and I want to show you the stamp sets that I used to make them. So this one, I started out with, it's an older set, it's Letter to Santa, and I used the script stamp. And let me take this out of here so that I can work with the card just a little bit. So what I did first was I stamped this script stamp in Versamark all over the card. I just used it, I repeated it. I used it here, and then brought it here, and then here, and here, all the way down. Okay? Then, what I did was I took kind of an old gold looking embossing powder. I don't have it with me right now, so I don't remember, but it's kind of a dark gold embossing powder. I have a set here from Archivers that's some kind of antique looking colors, and this one is aged gold embossing enamel. It's a vintage look, so that's what I was going for, was a vintage looking gold. It's a darker look. This is not the one I used, but it's very close to the one that I did use. Okay, so then what I did was I just used the embossing powder in certain areas, like here in the corner and there, just a little bit to make it a little bit for an aged look. And then I also used, let's see, the stamp here in this corner, this stamp right here from Christmas time. That was last year's release. And then I also, from a third stamp set, if I can find it, yeah, I've got it. I used A Joyful Christmas from Joyful Song, and that was 2 years ago release. So, you can continue using your stamps. You don't have to stick with only what's brand new. And then, so I put that there, and I embossed that also in the gold. And then here in the corner, I used, let me go back to, let's see, yeah, let's go back to this stamp set, and I used this stamp right here. And what I did was I stamped it in Forest Moss, the Distress ink, and I stamped it twice, and then I stamped off, like I inked up my stamp, and I stamped it, and then I stamped over here, and it makes it look like it's behind it because it's not as dark of a stamp, and I did that with this one as well. So that's how it looks like it's, some branches are forward and some are back. And then I was done. That was it. And then you can put what you want to on the inside. I used shabby shutters around the edges and also just lightly all through the card to give it the green look. I think I stamped this. Yeah, I didn't emboss this part, the Joyful Christmas stamp. I stamped it in the Forest Moss color. So I'm going to stick this back in here, right beside that. And by the way, these are the ones that didn't sell at the show, and so they are available as sets of 4 for $5. And then this one, I liked it because it's an Art Deco type of thing. It's simple and modern, but yet at the same time it's not modern because it's a vintage stamp. So what I used for this set of cards is this year's release called Deco Christmas. So I used this one, and this is kind of a shabby look. You know how Tim Holtz does his, like worn look. So what I did was I stamped it in archival ink, and then I took my black soot distress marker and then filled in so that I would have a full-bodied stamp without the worn places in it, because that's the look I was going for, and it covers it very well. And then I used Memento Love Letter red ink to stamp it. Again, I didn't want to use the distress because that's not the look I was going for. So let's see, let me grab that ink. Or maybe it was Ladybug. Well, let's stamp and find. We'll find out for sure, because I don't want to tell you the wrong color in case you want to try something out in this color. So let's just grab that stamp again. That looks like the one I used, and this is Ladybug. So I did almost tell you wrong. So it's Ladybug, not Love Letter. Memento ink and Ladybug. When you have the color red, you have a color that is more blue and a color that is more yellow. Let me come back up and get this again. Okay, if you're familiar with the color wheel, red is at the top, and then there is yellow off to the side and blue off to the other side. Those are the three primary colors, and then you combine your colors to make the other colors, such as blue and yellow make green, red and yellow make orange, and red and blue make violet. And then you have another level. So reds can be two different colors. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the Love Letter, and I'm going to put it right next to Ladybug. Now I hope that you can see the difference in these two colors. It's not a lot, but this color is a yellower red, this color is a bluer red, because it sits on the color wheel closer to the blue primary. This one has a little bit of blue in it, this one has a little bit of yellow in it, and that's why sometimes it's hard to match your reds. And if you can see these right next to each other, this one, if you're used to looking at color, then you know what you're looking at. And so I'm telling you that this red has more of a yellow base, this red has more of a blue base. So that's the difference in these two colors. So I wanted to make sure that I told you the right one. So what I used was Ladybug Memento. Okay? And I stamped also in archival ink a Merry Christmas vertically, and then on the inside, whoops, maybe I didn't. I thought I did on the inside. Maybe I only did it on one of them. Let me check. Got in a hurry, so I might have forgotten. Yep. Here we go. On the inside, I also stamped that same poinsettia again and Christmas greetings right up here. So you can use this entire stamp set to make a complete card, and then you just write what you want to. Okay, I really like this set. I like very, very much the clean lines of the sentiments. So, and I really like that. I thought that looked kind of cool. So let me put these away. And then this one, I made two sets. This one, I did a few different techniques. So I used the same set, the Deco Christmas, for it. But I also started out with some stencils. And the stencils I used were this one. Let's see, I got them in the wrong thing. Okay. Forget what this one was called. This one is Mini Flurries. This one, I don't know what it's called because that's not right. Mini Flurries is this one, and this says Mini Branches, and it's not branches, so that's not what it is. I'll look it up and put it in the text. So anyway, what I also did with these stencils is I used tack it over and over adhesive, and you wipe it on there onto your stencil, and you allow it to dry, and it makes it to where your stencil will stick, and then you don't have to really worry about getting things. I dropped this one on the floor and now there's cat hair on it. I have to do some work on this one. Oh my goodness. Anyway, let's look at the other one. So you see how it comes off of its backing paper, and it does the same thing over and over. That's why it's called tack it over and over. Let's pull this one out. I did the same thing with it. And you put it down where you want to stencil. Another cat hair. And it sticks there. It doesn't fall off. So it's really, really nice. Works really great. And then you just can take your ink and you can use ink to stencil with if you want to, or you can use a stencil brush. But see, this is not going to move now. So you can see that you have a good stencil, have a good image. So what I did with my backgrounds for these cards is I used these two stencils, and I used broken china, no, tumbled glass. I used tumbled glass to stencil with, and I did put it on an applicator and pounced the ink on. So that was my backgrounds. And then I stamped this stamp from the Deco set, this one right here, in Stormy Sky. And I also stamped my greetings in Stormy Sky. So, and then I put 2 of each in each packet of 4, so it could have just a little bit of a variety. Oh, and before I did that, I also sprayed them with Perfect Pearl Mist, so that they have some glitter, some glisten. It looks like the snow, and I don't know if you can see that, but maybe. So that's how I made those cards. So, okay, so let me put these back in. So now, anyway, I wanted to show you how you can mix and match your stamp sets, which you can do quite easily. Then I want to show you using how you can use some die cuts with to make your cards. Now this is a black card blank, and I used the same snowflake stencil on here, and what I used to stencil with was the Colorbox Mixed Media pewter color. So you can see it in there. And then I also used, in Things to Say, the Merry Christmas stamp, and put that right down there. I thought that looked kind of cool down there. Then I used this die to cut out the ice skates, and I used silver embossing powder to do the blade, and I used Distress embossing powder and walnut stain to do the heel. I put some glitter, I think I just used some adhesive and embossed some holographic glitter or something on there. And then I used antique linen and walnut stain to make the skates look worn. And so I thought maybe I could do that for you. I can't find my other skate. It's somewhere else. I had it with me at the show this week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another one, and then we'll see how we put our card together. So what I did first was the blade, and get out my coffee filter, and I used silver on it, but in order to make sure I had enough sticky, I wanted to use the embossing dabber. So that's what I used to get the embossing adhesive onto my blade. This is just easier to kind of get it just in the place where you want it. Okay, so I got that on there, and now I'm going to pour my silver. This is Ranger silver embossing powder. Okay, and see, I see a couple of empty spots. Okay, I'm going to pour this back in. You know, sometimes you can melt your embossing powder just a little too long and it just kind of turns molten. Well, that's actually what I want this to do, because I want the blade to look like it's shiny aluminum blade or whatever it really is. So let's do this. So when I excessively heat it, it turns kind of molten and it really looks a lot just like a blade. I really liked that. Okay, so instead of doing, well, let's go around it first. And I know, yes, you can lace these. You know, it has holes to lace through. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, so I haven't done it yet. So let's go ahead and do the heel next, and I'm going to do that with walnut stain, and I'm going to go ahead and put some walnut stain ink right there on my heel. And it's okay if I get it up here a little bit, because we're making the, you know, this is an old worn ice skate anyway. So I put a little bit of it on there just as a base. And I'm gonna, because it's still wet and this is embossable ink, then I'm just gonna pour my distressed embossing powder over it. See, doesn't it look just like a skate heel? And I got some of it up here, but again, it doesn't really matter because this is not going to be a clean looking skate anyway. So let's heat this embossing powder. Okay, and distress embossing powder heats unevenly, so we have this uneven, granular looking heel, which I think looks very authentic. Got a little bit of it on the blade, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so then next what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my antique linen, because when we shade, we need to have gradating levels of color. We don't want just one color. So I'm going to put the antique linen all around my skate. Even going to put it up here. It's a little harder to get to, but you can do it. Okay, and just kind of blotch it here and there. Okay, so I've got that as well. The white of the skate is my lightest color. Then this is my mid-tone, and then next I'm going to come in with walnut stain. If you don't want quite that dark of a brown on it. You can use Vintage Photo for a little softer look, but I stuck with Walnut Stain. It's really your choice. And so now I'm going to just go around these edges with the Walnut Stain, and I'm not covering up where I've been with my antique linen. I'm going to bend back my blade there and get into there. And then I'm also going to go over this heel again to get that darkness in there as well. And see, we've got a couple of little places. Let's just do a little bit more. We can do kind of right there where that crease is. And then if you feel like you've kind of got a little too much, come back in with your antique linen, and you can blend it out a little bit, and you can soften that up. So now we've got an old ice skate, but I want to put a little bit of glistening snow look on it. So, you know, you can use sparkle embossing powder, but I thought this time I would experiment with you with icicles. So I'm just going to put some of this icicles on there and spread it around. So there we have that look. And you can wait till it dries and then decide if you like that, if that's good enough. If it's not, then go ahead and put some sparkle embossing powder on it or something. You make it to where you like it. And oh goodness, let me try something really quick, because I just realized and remembered that I have these antique embossing enamels over here. So I'm going to take this one. It's Shabby Blue. Now I know my icicles is still wet, but I'm going to see if I can use that kind of to hold this embossing powder on. And I'm going to pour some of this over just to kind of see what this will look like. Okay, now let's emboss it. It might mess it up. I don't know. We'll see. Well, this is a whole different look, and I actually think it's kind of cool. And I really do need to get laced in there. I really do. And somehow, maybe I could even, before I find out how to lace, maybe I could just take my antique linen or maybe a little bit darker distress marker and kind of draw the laces in there. That could work. So we have, you know, two really different looks, but they're kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this embossing powder on here so that my skates can match. And I'm going to use the embossing dabber because the glitter on this skate is already dry. So let's just add a little bit here so we can have matching skates. I've decided this is the look I like the best. I put the sparkling holographic embossing powder on it first, and then this antique iced blue enamel. That looks pretty cool. I like the texture because it looks like, because you know it's snowy because it's got the glisten, and then it also looks like you've got kind of the wrinkled, puffy in places part of an ice skate, the way it gets when it's been used. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way, and let's move our card back over here again. And I'm going to put these on here, and I'm going to find some lace. I have some of the Ken's linen thread here, but I think that's really just too heavy. So I'm just going to go with baker's twine. And here's a good color. You could use this gray. So I'm going to cut some of it off. And I'm going to tie a bow in the center. And then that can go right there to lace these two skates together. And I need to kind of clip these off a little. And okay, I see. I got my bows too big. There we go, that's much better. So then that looks like the skates are tied together, and you can put them on top of your card just like that. And you can do some other things to them if you want to, but I kind of think this is, you know, enough on a card. And so I like that, so I'm going to make a set of those as well. Some other ideas for cards. Some other dies. Ooh, okay. That's I don't know what that was, but I just got it on my card. Okay. So let's go on this side. It's the enamel that's all over my area here. Okay, so I want to use this Tim Holtz Shattered stencil, because I think it looks like maybe cracked ice as well as a cobweb. And I like to use my dies and stamps and things for different things. So I'm going to kind of position this like right here, and I'm going to use some Perfect Medium right there so that my perfect pearls will have something to stick to. You have to make sure that you get it in between your stencil lines, so look and make sure. Yeah, some of these Perfect Medium stamp pads are kind of old, and this one is crumbling. That's not cool. Okay, so I've got that on there. Now I'm going to open my Perfect Pearls upside down and get it all over the place. That's what I'm going to do. Shake it like that. Turn it right side up. I always forget that the words are on the bottom. Okay, so let's get our Perfect Pearls here where we need them to be. Okay. Goodness. I'm going to spritz with just a little bit of water to make them adhere. And then I'm going to use a paper towel to blot that off. So I hope that you can see this, that I have some cracked blue ice. I'm also going to put a little of my white patina on here and there. open this the right way. Kind of wipe it around. This shows up a little better. And again, I'm going to spritz it and blot it. So there I've got my background of ice. Now I have, let's see, I have a couple of other dies sitting close by, I thought. Okay, this one is the Victorian Carolers, and I have it cut out. Have them cut out in black, which, you know, wouldn't really show up on here, although they kind of show up there kind of nice. So if I did the stencil all the way across, all the way, that would work. But I also have them cut out, you know, in kind of like a white. So you can stick those here. You could have that. And then another idea is that there is a smaller ice skate die. Also has a little soldier with it. And I have a couple of those cut out. They should have been near me. They were near me before I started. They really were, I promise. And now they've gone off to the wayside someplace. On the floor, maybe? Yes, on the floor. One of them. So you could have a set of ice skates that size. Let me see if I can find another one. I have a little baggie here of some die cuts, because when I get a new die, I always want to test it out. So here's one. Let's go get this one. They're actually on some pattern paper that I had. So let's do it this way. So you could hang your skates this way. Then there's also an idea of, these are some Tim Holtz Ideology little skates, and I had two of them out of the packet, out of the baggie for me to use. Oh, here they are. So these are pretty cool. They're metal, and they're like old-fashioned ice skates. So you could also take your, here we are. You could also take your baker's twine and let's see, they do have a little holes in there, so you could put a jump ring in there. I don't have that by me right now, but you can also decide to hang these. Maybe you want to put them up here and have your carolers down here. Just however you decide to do your card. You can do a lot of different things. Just have fun and play with these dies, because you can get really creative with them. So thanks for being with me for another Monday, and I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.